Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. My name is Jeffrey Davis. I am the host of Radio Entrepreneurs. Believe it or not, getting close to 7,000 interviews on Radio Entrepreneurs over 6.5, 7 years. It really, how the time flies. Hard to keep track of everything. I'm also CEO of Mage LLC, management consulting firm since 1985. Boy, that's a lot of longevity. Kind of hard to believe. But our next guest, adding to our list and our friends of Radio Entrepreneurs, Michelle Higginson, co-founder of Inlightened. Welcome.
Thank you.
So Michelle, can you tell us about Inlightened?
Yeah, absolutely. So Enlightened kind of came out of the idea that, to disrupt in healthcare is not the same as innovating in any other space. And it requires a certain level of, extra attention, gatekeeping. There are a lot more stakeholders. There's a lot at stake. So my co-founder and I, we really created Enlightened to kind of bridge that knowledge gap in healthcare innovation and democratize access to, high quality insights and expertise. So early stage founders or developed organizations who are looking to pivot or figure out what's next, they could really access the opinions and expertise they needed to really move the needle and figure out what they need to do. There is roughly a 96% failure rate in healthcare innovation. And
Wow.
that's terrible. And we wanted to do what we could to, contribute to try to solve part of that problem. We've seen plenty of, very well-connected startup founders, pull on their own advisory boards or, work with friends of friends and connections like that. And, just to be frank, if you're working within your network or, you're limiting your expertise, you're not getting the full story. And, we truly believe that you can't innovate if you leave the key audience out of the process.
So what's your background and your partner's background that contributes to
Sure.
that?
So, my background has been at a mixture of health and tech startups in the Boston area, as well as I spent a handful of years at Boston Children's Hospital. And I've always worked on the commercial side, building marketing programs, standing up content strategies, community management. And Shelly, my co-founder, has spent her entire career in healthcare. Across med device, pharma, health tech. And, in both of our experience, it was just abundantly clear that there was a knowledge gap in healthcare innovation and that the way these business leaders were sourcing expertise, wasn't necessarily servicing them.
So did you always know you were going to be an entrepreneur, or was there an event that sort of triggered all of this?
I think throughout my career, I've always kind of tried to focus on, what's next or what can propel me and my interest to the next level and make a bigger impact. And so I think, what we're doing through Enlightened has definitely helped feed that and has made me, feel a way that I never have previously in my career because we have the opportunity to connect with such outstanding experts and leaders in all of their own disciplines and fields, and really, help founders develop what they need to do and solve problems for more people and better fit into workflows and ultimately deliver better patient care and truly move the needle on healthcare. So we feel, really lucky to have gotten to where we have.
So Michelle, can you, just to make this concrete for our listeners, can you give us a typical kind of company that you would, or organization you'd work with, and what a typical project would be for you?
Sure, absolutely. So, we started Enlightened thinking of startups and thinking it is so hard for these early stage founders to access the expertise they need, whether, through lack of connections or just monetarily. Like sometimes it's completely budget prohibitive if you want to talk to someone who typically commands $1,000 an hour. So we really, we're thinking startups and early stage founders, but we've really since been able to expand the use case and have gotten interest from, a lot of growth stage companies. In the era of COVID, we've seen a lot of health tech companies really looking to pivot their model and figure out, how we operate in this new world we're living in. We've had major academic institutions reach out, wanting to source individuals for thought leadership or research. And, even larger life sciences companies, or strategic investment firms or private equity. There are a lot of use cases across the board that we've felt very fortunate to be able to service. But I think, one of our earliest customers and one we can, speak about publicly is Bowie Health, and they're a Boston area startup that's grown very, very quickly recently. And it's been a great opportunity to work with them because they essentially like to publish a lot of content and kind of have their website triage care models and information about, if you're feeling certain symptoms, kind of here's your symptom checklist, here's what to go through, here's what to think about, and here's kind of how we can triage your care, what's next for you. And Bowie sources a lot of writers from us, so clinicians in very specific fields who have authority on certain topics and can provide that insight and help work their users through a certain process and get them what they need.
And how do you generate revenue? Does it work by a contract, a project?
Sure, absolutely. So we started Enlightened with really wanting to introduce an unparalleled level of transparency into what was commonly known as the expert network space or market research or healthcare consultancy. So Enlightened is really based on a web-based platform where our client companies can sign up and subscribe for access to the platform. And they pay a monthly subscription fee, or they can pay annually up front. And they can essentially log on and create projects and search, almost like a marketplace, search that network and search by terms, by specialty, look at robust profiles, evaluate each of our experts and invite them to projects, and then invite them to subsequent engagements. And those are really the transactions on which they're paid. So it could be an hour-long phone call. It might be a document review or a focus group or a survey. But that is the way we envision this working, really wanting to open it up and to allow a certain level of self-service and visibility into, this is who I'm talking to. This is what they'll charge me for their time. We can have an open dialogue and say, I see your hourly rate is $500. Would you talk to me for 2 hours for $800? Or, are you flexible here? I'm an early stage startup and I just simply can't afford that hourly rate. But we put our experts in charge of the rate they command. So there's a lot of flexibility there, and they're open to supporting ventures and firms of different sizes and stages. So it's been really interesting because we see a lot of interaction, and we're able to source a lot of expertise in that way. But on the flip side, there are a number of clients, of course, who would prefer we take more of an active role and prefer to kind of approach things on more of a project basis, where they'll say, I'm looking to speak to 10 oncologists. Can we start with a survey, based on this criteria? And then can you guys from there pull out 3 people that fit the next level of the screener for phone calls? And we will have a heavier role in managing that. But all of our users are really, they're welcome and able to access the platform and really see what we have on there, and how different experts can service their needs.
Well, clearly you're in an industry that's going through dynamic change. And so there needs to be a facilitator, an advocate for those things.
Mm-hmm.
We've been speaking with Michelle Higginson, a co-founder of Inlightened. Michelle, if someone's looking for you or Enlightened, want to know more, interested in the services, how would they find you?
Sure, they can go to getenlightened.com. So that's enlightened with an I. And they can find us on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, again, Get Enlightened handle, or they can email me at michelle@getenlightened.com.
Well, thank you for joining us today on Radio Entrepreneurs. We look forward to you joining our internet network and continuing to provide us with content and stories that we can share with other entrepreneurs.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
Thank you, Michelle. And remind everyone, my name is Jeffrey Davis of Mage LLC and Radio Entrepreneurs. We will be right back after this break.